In the opening scene of Satoshi Kon's 2001 masterpiece, Millennium Actress, these are the very first lines we hear, especially from the lead protagonist, Chiyoko.
約束したのよ。必ず会いに行くって。
When I first saw this scene, I didn't think much of it other than it was a cool way to open a movie, but when I sat down to watch the film again, this time with a complete understanding of what Kon was trying to achieve, it becomes much clearer that these bits of dialogue have a double meaning. They carry a lot more weight and significance because ultimately they best symbolize what this movie is really about. Putting aside all the other elements like the blending between reality and fantasy and the exploration of Japanese film history and the beautiful animation, and you solely focus on the movie's core narrative, you quickly realize that at the end of the day, Millennium Actress is just a love story, but an incredibly tragic and heartbreaking one. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Satoshi Kon and his work, one of the defining trademarks of his style is his ability to seamlessly blend reality and fantasy to such a degree that it is often difficult to discern what is real and what isn't. Like with his other projects, this aspect of Kon's style serves as a crucial narrative device in Millennium Actress, because when Chiyoko agrees to the interview with the documentary filmmakers and gives her life story, the line between her past and the movie she starred in gradually become blurry. But unlike movies like, say, Perfect Blue or Paprika, in which the intent of blurring reality and fantasy is to confuse the characters and to an extent the audience, Millennium Actress uses the same tool for different goals. This movie is not interested in being confusing or convoluted. It blurs reality and fantasy because it is the only way that Chiyoko can properly tell her story. Chiyoko's past intertwines with the various movies she starred in because being an actress was her entire life, so naturally it makes sense that her movies feel just as real as her actual past. To explain in detail what any of this means, we need to focus our attention onto arguably the most important moment in the film, and it's when a young Chiyoko meets a mysterious man that for the rest of the video I'm going to refer to as the Painter. The two meet when the Painter accidentally bumps into her while fleeing from the police due to him being a political dissident, and after helping her up and hiding in the bushes, Chiyoko misdirects the police chasing after him and hides him in a storage room. While recovering, the Painter tells Chiyoko about his artistic endeavors and how he hopes to return to his village in the winter and finish his painting. Chiyoko falls in love with the Painter, but before she has a chance to confess her feelings, the Painter flees to the train station to escape from the police, leaving behind his key that he showed to Chiyoko. Despite Chiyoko's best efforts to chase after him, she fails to hop on the train. That was both the last time she ever got to see the Painter face to face, and probably the day she decided to prioritize leg day at the gym. Her desire to catch up to the Painter is what pushed her to finally accept her first acting job, because the film she was starring in was shooting in Manchuria, the same region where her crush said he'd be going to. But after failing to find him, Chiyoko finally commits to her career as an actress, which is symbolized by this transition between the bandit attack on the train to a samurai movie she starred in. Throughout the next hour of the film, we see Chiyoko jump from movie after movie, from a samurai film to a ninja film, to a movie where she plays a geisha, to a period piece, to a film that's basically Godzilla, to a sci-fi space movie. She stars in hundreds of movies, playing hundreds of different roles, hoping that one day, the Painter, the man that she so dearly loves, will watch at least one of these movies and recognize her. And the craziest part is that Chiyoko has built this impressive filmography and awe-inspiring legacy, not out of some artistic desire to give Marty a boner. She did it for love, hoping that one day she'll reunite with the Painter and give him a boner. Chiyoko says it herself in the first act. She doesn't care about the movie. She just needed an excuse, as weak as it may be, to hopefully find her love. The Painter is such a major influence on Chiyoko's career that every single movie she starred in is directly tied to her mission and desire to find and chase after the Painter. One of the more obvious examples of this is the samurai movie, in which she finds the Lord / her lover dead on the floor. Refusing to live in a world without him, she attempts to end her own life and follow him to the afterlife, which kind of foreshadows the film's ending if you think about it. But before she can go through with it, she is taunted by this old witch who curses her to a fate of chasing after her lover for 1,000 years, never being able to fully reunite with him. This is just one example, as pretty much every movie ties back to this core emotion of Chiyoko's desire to find and be with the Painter, as every single film she stars in has lines of dialogue with double meanings. In the ninja movie, Chiyoko's character mentions that she's looking for a man that she loves who is also being persecuted by the government. When Chiyoko travels to Hokkaido with the hopes of finding the Painter, it is intercut with scenes from her Godzilla movie and the 2001-esque space film. Chiyoko's personal life plays such an important role in her career that they eventually start creeping their way into her movies. For example, in the film in which she plays a geisha, she accidentally bumps into a fleeing rogue samurai. The man helps her up, and Chiyoko attempts to misdirect the police chasing after him. This scene is incredibly similar to Chiyoko's first encounter with the Painter. There's even a moment in which she attempts to give the rogue samurai the key back, though he says no and tells her to hang on to it. Additionally, this man with a scar on his face also plays a monumental role in Chiyoko's life, as he also also appears in her films, first as the samurai in the Geisha film and in the film where she plays a political prisoner. In this movie, we see the scarred police officer taking a man who looks like the painter to a torture room, and whether this moment where Chiyoko bangs against the door, begging him to let her see the painter, is a part of the movie or not, it nonetheless highlights just how much pain and sorrow this cop brought to Chiyoko's life. Now at this point, you might think to yourself, hey, is what Chiyoko feeling really love? Isn't this just a one-sided crush that Chiyoko has had for a guy she met once in high school? Does this guy even feel the same way for Chiyoko that she does for him? Well, there's no way to know for certain since we never see him again, but if you ask me, I certainly think so. The reason why I think so is because of this scene where Chiyoko and this group of civilians attempt to escape the horrors of World War II. Amidst the rubble and destruction left behind from the bombing, Chiyoko finds a portrait of her younger self painted against a wall, standing proudly and basking the light of a bright new day. The film heavily implies that the painter drew this portrait of Chiyoko and that he never forgot about her. It even says, until the day we meet again. In my opinion, this moment is what really solidifies Millennium Actress as a love story. Chiyoko's affection for the painter isn't some silly high school crush. It was real, certainly an elusive kind of love, but a real love nonetheless, because the painter clearly wanted to reunite with Chiyoko just as much as she did. Had this been any other romance story, that would have happened. The painter and Chiyoko would have finally found each other and everyone would have lived happily ever after. Unfortunately, Millennium Actress is not a typical romance story, because despite Chiyoko's best efforts, she never sees the painter again. The old scarred police captain reunites with Chiyoko and gives her a letter that the painter had written for her so many years ago, revealing that he planned on returning to his hometown of Hokkaido where he would be waiting for her. She immediately runs off to Hokkaido before the captain can tell her that he tortured and killed the painter all those years ago. But even if she had listened to this bit of information, it wouldn't have mattered as she eventually gives up on finding the painter anyway. He realizes that even if he was somehow still alive, he wouldn't have been able to recognize Chiyoko anyway because she's grown so much, and she doesn't resemble her younger self anymore. Her journey for love has become a fruitless effort, and without that love driving her, she doesn't see a point in continuing her career. She retires from acting and becomes a recluse. She can no longer remember what the painter even looks like anymore. The one man she truly loved is forever gone from her mind and heart. At least that's what she thought, until one day her biggest fan, Tachibana, comes knocking on her door. He gives her the key that she lost so long ago. He helps her unlock her memory, reminding her of not just everything she accomplished, but why she accomplished them in the first place. Most importantly though, Tachibana brought the painter back to her life. This last point is ultimately why I consider the ending of Millennium Actress a happy one. Yes, she dies on a hospital bed, but it also means that she can finally enter the realm that she's wanted to go to so badly, the afterlife, the place where the painter is waiting patiently for her. She can finally restart her journey of finding the painter. She may have the chance to finally reunite with the man she loves so deeply. Tachibana gave Chiyoko a second chance, and she is forever grateful to him. If Millennium Actress's first lines best sum up the film's story, then Millennium Actress's last line best sum up the heart and message of the film.
だって私あの人追いかけてる私が好きなんだもの